What's going on, YouTubers, gamers, fellow hobbyists everywhere? Welcome to this episode of, it's about my solo RPGing exploits. And obviously what you could see before you is Lord of the Rings. Now, what these boxed sets here, this is one I had as a child, when I was at school. And the other two are two I picked up and this is all for nostalgia reasons. Now, I figured because I've been asked, and I might like it. It might be fun to do a solo RPG, bit of a campaign. See if it can translate to video or not. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. And as I thought, well, D&D's been done, and many other fantasy ones. I was toying with the idea of doing Alien, but I do have more resources for like a fantasy type-esque setting. So I thought, do you know what? I haven't seen a Lord of the Rings one. Let's do Lord of the Rings. So here we are. Lord of the Rings is what started it all for me anyway, reading the book many years ago before getting into D&D. But anyway, yeah. This now, I could just run this. You know, I've got the rule book here. The only trouble is the Ice Crown Enterprises was the company that made this game. The only trouble is it's amazing, but it's way too complicated. You'd spend all of your time consulting tables and means rather than being actually able to do anything, you spend all your time consulting tables, checking statistics, and yeah, from memory, it covers everything, and I do mean everything. I mean everything. This covers the lot. It really does. But it is far too complicated. I do like the way they got some of these like hex table in here that you could photocopy at the time, or perhaps sneak into school and use the school photocopier if you were able. So I thought, right, let's look at what's out there. Because what I intend to do is, with this game here, and the other two box games, look, it even came with like cardboard characters to put into little plastic things. Before, this was like pre-miniatures, all this stuff. But of course you wanted miniatures to represent it all, but you know, it's just not happening. So what I intended to do is use these books as source material for my solo endeavour, and yeah, look at this. Look, this is like adverts for things that I probably couldn't find them now. But anyway, yeah, I'm starting to digress here. Every time I open these books, I'm transported back, 30 years or whatever into my past. So I'm going to use these as source material. That, and even this one, which is a bit later. Dawn Comes Early. I think that's it's an actual campaign, and I might be able to use that and translate it over to the rule set I use. Yes, there we are. That's the guidelines here. And by the way, this map here is from, I can't remember if it's that one or that one. So let's just pop that to one side. This beautiful map of Middle Earth, a campaign map of Northwest Middle Earth. But I've decided to go with this as a rule set. Now, I was torn between this, Lord of the Rings, a role-playing game, Adventures in Middle Earth 5e, which basically uses the D&D rule set, or there was another rule set called the One Ring. Now, they're all out of print, although, a little bit of interesting news, Free League Publishing have bought the rights to Lord of the Rings, so they're going to be coming out with their own Lord of the Rings books in the future. But that aside, I want the here and now, and I've opted for this one. The reason is, I've done some research, like I do. Now, the One Ring, as a rule set and set of books and expansions and so on, looks, and I can't state this enough, it looks phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But the big drawback with it, price. If you can pick up the core rulebook for £100, you are getting a good bargain. And £200-300 is like the average price I've seen it for, and I'm like, no. So sadly, that one's out of the question. So then I looked at Adventures in Middle Earth. The research says, yeah, it doesn't feel quite as much like Middle Earth as the other one, but it's a great rule set, and it's easy to pick up. And it's cheaper, a lot cheaper. But I've gone for this one because, from what I've read, it feels more like Middle Earth. It uses a different system. It uses a D6 system, so I'm going to be using that. That's going to be interesting. I've looked at the character sheet here. It looks like it's going to be quite nice to use, and particularly in a solo environment. And I intend to use the map here. I might get little, little flags or something to mark. I mean, this is a great map. It's not as detailed as, like, say, this map, but this one's like a bit closer in. And so it's got more areas on it. I mean, this doesn't, according to this should be Mirkwood here. And these should be the Misty Mountains. But this map is old, and it's got the older names, like then Lune. And here it's got the Gulf of Lune. So there are small changes here for whatever reason that may be. And I'm okay. Do you know, I'm okay with that, because I want to do a campaign. Of course, I want to visit the Shire and then take it from there. Of course, I'm probably going to avoid Mordor, but who knows? I don't know where the game will take me. Yes, I will use Mythic as the solo oracle. I'm gonna use Mythic, and we'll see how we get on. I might use the weather table from Scarlet Heroes. I'm not sure yet, but in any event, I'm going to use this map and this map as part of my role playing, and I want to get the source material. If I go somewhere like Lorien, say for instance, we go to Lorien, which is there, I would like to look at any source material I have from anywhere, use that, put that into the game. Now, I also will say now, I want to use some dwarves in it. Mainly, I suppose, because I've got a box of unopened Warhammer dwarves to put together and paint, and I need a serious break from 15mm right now, and that will provide it. See, this is a fantastic map. It is, no question. And I'm thinking I'll be able to use this mat I bought as well for Flames of War. If I just use that as cart tracks instead of tank tracks, I know it looks a bit odd, but I think it will help me, put some scenery down and whatever else. And I think I've got some other Lord of the Rings or miniatures for Lord of the Rings that I was going to put together anyway, because I was going to do I was going to recreate a couple of scenes from the story. Bucklebury Ferry was one, so I mean that's another good reason to go to the Shire. And I've got the front of a Hobbit hole somewhere in resin that needs to be painted up, and I need to make something with it. I've got to find it. It's true. I'd have to have a quick look around, skirt around to find them. I know where some of my other Lord of the Rings miniatures are, but they're mainly characters. I think I have some soldiers from Minas Tirith, which would be good. And yeah, so that's just going to be fantastic for me to do. And what I'm hoping to do is a full-on Lord of the Rings solo adventure campaign. Can it be done? I don't know, but we'll see. But we will see. But I am going to be using this as my core rule set. The one from Decipher, Role-Playing in Miniature Studio. Yes, it's got pictures from the movie in here, but from what I've read so far, it stays remarkably true to the book, and not just the movies, which obviously neglected the likes of Tom Bombadil, which this book does not. And although it takes good use of pictures, stills from the movie, it doesn't take anything away from the actual story and the setting, I would say. So there may be one or two things I have to tweak in the rules. I'm not sure yet, but I'll come to that as and when. But yeah, I'm looking at this thinking I want to do this. I think this is set in the Third Age, after the events of The Hobbit, before the events of Lord of the Rings, which to me makes perfect sense. Although that said, I'd be happy to adventure in the Fourth Age and things like that. So, but we'll see. These are dark times in the Third Age, so it'll be interesting to see where it takes me and what happens on that. So, if you think you might be up for that, that will be coming in the future. I've got to read through these rules. I've got to flesh out my characters yet and do a whole load of prep stuff. So it's not going to be happening anytime soon. But I just thought, I'll let you know, because it is on the horizon, and we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. So Middle-earth role-playing, and all the old stuff I've got I'm going to be using as source material, and it will help me out no end. And of course the book as well, that will be good source material for me to consult in between sessions. So there it is. So that's my plans for my solo campaign. Hopefully I can pull it off. If not, I'll just play on my own and with no camera. But I'll see. I'll do what I can. I can't promise anything, but that is my hope. So thanks very much for joining me. Remember all brushes lead to war, and I'll see you on the next video, folks. So bye for now. Bye bye.